Third world narrative swappers and the cosplay of Americana. In the modern pop landscape, a curious cultural migration has taken place, not of bodies, but of narratives. Artists like Bia, Jennifer Lopez, Becky G, and Anita have emerged from Latin America or Latin adjacent roots and used these identities not to challenge the global perception of Latin America or elevate its economic position, but to rebrand themselves as palatable participants in the fantasy of Americana. In doing so, they engage in what can only be described as a form of narrative swapping. Adopting the economic and aesthetic ambitions of American stardom while leaving behind the socio political burdens of their origins. Rather than confronting the class disparity or exploitation that often defines life in places like Brazil, Puerto Rico, or Mexico, these women perform a version of success that mimics American exceptionalism. It's not that they bring their stories into the mainstream, it's that they abandon their stories for ones that have already been curated by the American entertainment machine. The effect is not elevation, but assimilation. Their success becomes a costume, worn to bypass the uncomfortable reality that Latin America remains systemically impoverished and politically unstable. Nowhere is this more evident than in the phenomenon of the anchor baby economy, a shadow system of immigration strategy where birthright citizenship in the U.S. is leveraged for legal and economic access. This underground practice has been normalized through pop culture and not subtly. Families who violate immigration law often view these celebrities as symbols of hope, misreading their curated images as proof of a pathway forward. The problem is that these artists do not share or represent the lived reality of undocumented migrants. Instead, they provide aesthetic cover for lawless behavior while maintaining plausible deniability through PR. Take Anita's song Girl from Rio, which claims Sao Paulo but renders it in the tones of an Instagram reel. Beaches, bikinis, and soft filters erasing the chaos of favelas, femicide, and state violence. The Brazilian girl is offered as a fantasy, sexual, joyful, and carefree. The burdens of colonialism and corruption are omitted. This is the marketing strategy. It's a form of cultural laundering where the source country's problems are scrubbed out and the only thing left is the exotic scent of heritage. Jennifer Lopez has long been the high priestess of this strategy. Though she is Puerto Rican by descent and from the Bronx, her artistic narrative often reaches into Mexican culture when convenient. Her filmography, her Super Bowl performances, her interviews, again and again, she leans into the Latinad umbrella, strategically blurring cultural lines. But she has never used her power to critique U.S. policy towards Puerto Rico or advocate for its economic independence. Instead, she clings to a global identity rooted in luxury and desire. Her narrative becomes a visa into relevance, not a challenge to the system that made her community invisible. Becky G is another curious case. She speaks openly about her Mexican roots, but her musical output is engineered for pop success in the US and not for cultural repair back home. Her Spanish language singles are often soft, polished love songs that do little to disturb or educate. Her image is Mexican enough to resonate with Latinos in America, but not confrontational enough to trigger the discomfort of white audiences. She, like many of her peers, functions as a mascot rather than a revolutionary. These artists participate in a carefully engineered spectacle, one where Latin American identity is aestheticized but not politicized. They wear heritage like a brand, one that can be turned up or down depending on market conditions. The one peso and a dream narrative they sell is a lie, and a dangerous one. It gives the illusion of mobility while hiding the machinery of exploitation, U.S. intervention, and global inequality that keep Latin America tethered to poverty. In this way, they function similarly to the poverty escapers, discussed previously in the context of Black American female rappers. But where someone like Summer Walker or Mona Leo critiques the men and circumstances of the community they escaped, these Latina stars rarely engage in such introspection. Instead, they trade the truth of their pasts for a chance at becoming the girl next door in a neighborhood they don't even live in. The poverty they left behind becomes invisible. Worse, it becomes irrelevant. What emerges is a disturbing pipeline between illegal immigration and media consumption. The families who break immigration law don't just come for work or asylum, they come with an expectation, cultivated by the media, that they are entering an identity called Latino American that exists somewhere between Becky G's Spotify page and a Univision telecast. The reality that most Americans don't even identify with this subculture is lost in the noise. These communities are building counter Americas within America, not realizing that they are not seen or accepted by the mainstream. Americans, especially Black and working class citizens, are often excluded from this cultural negotiation